moves, they're not hard to find. Strong arm tactics so loud, only themselves in mind. Every player has dreams of making ORCA fame. They'll live on in the minds of those who get in their way. Orcas all say, don't come for me. Mid-third boots, they're so vain. As we set up the podcast webcam, the pod is here to talk ORCA game. ORCA King CK with delusions of fame. In this LRG world, he's the apex predator. Danny and Jules in tow, always ready to go. Now it's time for the show. They're the apex predators.
Hello and welcome to the ORCA Pod, the Apex Predators of Australian Survivor LRG podcasting. Here we are for the penultimate episode of Uncharted Waters. Are the waters now charted? Is the path to victory clear for one of these four remaining players? Well, that will be for the orcas and their smooth knowledge of the oceans to opine on this evening as we get into all of the coverage of the boot of one said former god of war. Sad to see him go. And now, what will that mean we have in store for the finale? It's a bit of a sausage festival this evening. I apologize in advance. We like to be an equal opportunity podcast, but you know, people are only available when they're available. And maybe this episode just didn't inspire the masses that it has. It was short. It was sharp. Was it sweet? Perhaps not. I think the loss of Mars is a very sad state of affairs for everyone concerned. And I think the first orca joining me tonight would absolutely agree that it is a sad outcome. Let's bring him in. He's doing something. Welcome, Mark.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, yes, it is sad, but I don't think it's me who's in as much mourning as it is Josh, as Mars has now departed his screen a week too early.
We'll get to see him live in the flesh tonight, though. Maybe that will pickle his fancy further. Let's bring him in to opine on the sadness that is the loss of the God of War. Let's bring him in, Josh.
Hi.
Are you sad, Josh?
Yeah, I'm sad. You know, I was rooting for Mars. He was a great player, but, you know, he just got. Sad. God of War.
Was anyone surprised? Mark, were you surprised when Mars did not win that immunity to see him?
I said it last week. Like, he's put himself in a do or die situation. So I think this was a case of, it's a mix of him jumping the gun too early on Danny and not having a strong contingency for Ash. Do you know who I actually think should feel very validated and vindicated right now?
Who?
The Lentil King. He put it to you in his interview. Do you think it was the wrong choice to vote me out? And you all kind of went, nah, you were the right call. Well, I think for Mars, he needed Greg in the game at this point. I think if you have Greg and Danny in the mix, Mars might have made it that final push to make it to the final episode, to get the highlight reel that everyone wants. So yeah, I think there's some vindication for the Lentil King and being taken out a couple rounds too early. And I think that was Mars's fatal flaw.
Yeah, I can agree that Mars had little left for him here other than to win immunity. He had no pathways other than that. And even if he had one here, presumably, then he would have been looking at trying to win another again at the next one. And there's no guarantees of winning. Josh, do you feel that Mars's big mistake was voting out Greg?
I think that was the start of it, but yeah, I do think he needed Danny around as a shield as well, or Jules. Like, it just became that he's the biggest target there, and there was still a couple of votes to vote out before the final, I guess 3 or 2, whatever it is. And yeah, he didn't win immunity, so he was the biggest name on the board that everyone wanted to take out. And with these people left over, it is kind of the people that haven't been making big moves and bold moves, so they knew that they needed to, take out Mars. But unfortunately, now we kind of maybe have some filler characters in the end game.
I think this is just the problem with the gunning. If you're the head of the totem pole, you're only the head until the bottom takes over the top, right? So it's like there was just no one else for anyone to look at. And the writing's on the wall for Reeks. And I just think, like, why are we so afraid of a lone Danny or a lone Jules? If you want to win the game, take control. Don't just lead the sheep until the sheep. You know how like cats devour their owners if they're left like home alone with their dead body? It's just that. Like that's what this is. This is like the sickly cats that have been neglected, feasting on the God of War's corpse.
Admittedly, Mars did try to do it. He did want to make a move on Ash last week. I don't even know if that was the right move, because even if he successfully voted out Ash last week, and now he's in a final 5 with Danny and Mietta and Evan and Christelle, isn't he probably likely to boot anyway here?
I think KK. I think go for KK early. Like people love to have these passive people just sit at the end taking up a spot, but like she's always going to occupy a seat at the end, and that's just as much of a threat as having someone to actually fight for. I'm tired of players wanting to take goats to the end when it's just awful. It's like take someone who you're actually going to have to earn the win for, rather than just have what happened here.
Yeah, it reminds me of my season actually, when you get to the end game and then just there's too many goats left over taking up spots at the end, and you're just like, oh, Melbourne 3 actually. Sorry, CK. Not that you were a goat, but it reminds me of that end game too.
I felt they were all goats going into the final 3, but in retrospect, John wasn't such a goat and managed. But he would have been perceived as a weak player and would have lost to a Caitlin or a Laurel or a Kate, and managed to ensure that 3 of them went, leaving him in a final 3 with 2 much superior goats to him. Which maybe that's the strategy of someone in this game. Who do?
I think they don't have a strategy. That's the thing. It's just unintentional, just like blind leading the blind, and then they're just going to get there, and one has to win by default. It's not going to be a vote for them to win. It's just a vote that they have to vote for somebody, and it just
wins a win though.
What's frustrating though, this is episode 11, and we have multiple players approaching the scramble as if it's their first round. This shouldn't be happening 11 rounds in. And because this was for the first time for a lot of players that they weren't really protected, or like there wasn't Ash and Mars leading them together, telling them what to do. So they had to figure it out for themselves. And you saw round 1 behavior right before the finale. And I just think that's a sin. And I'm just saying, any All-Stars games, any returnees that are going into episode 11 still finding their feet, you're going to get eaten alive. And that's
not going to happen in an All-Stars game, is it? It's just not going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm not going to name names, but if like people come in with like, I did so well in my first season, I made it all the way to the end, and I didn't really have to strategize. That is not going to work on a second time round. And I welcome it. I really do. I would really like to have some of those players around in the future.
Without being offensive, how many of these final 4 would you expect to return in any sort of returnee format?
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying hypothetically, it's like it's giving delusions of grandeur, and I know about delusions of grandeur. I really do.
You didn't have delusions; you were grand. Maybe you were delusional, thinking you could make the end. I don't even know if you thought that, to be honest. You were just going as big as possible until they voted you out. Speaking of which, how do we think? We don't know if it's the end of the episode, but like we're leading up to the finale here. What do people think? Mars says that people are pretty mid in their first experience, which is true. I think that Ash is the one with the knowledge of playing that way and playing hard. So what do we think, though? What do we think is going to be happening in this finale? We've got 4 people left. Is it a final 3? What do we think?
I'm waiting for Josh to answer.
How many people are on the jury? at the moment?
At this stage, there are 5 people on the jury.
With Mars gone, that's 5.
Yes.
Well, it has to be final 2 then, because it always has to be a minimum jury of 7, except that season of Canberra when that guy was sick. So it has to be final 2 then.
And does that, if that's the case, does that reshape some of the gameplay these people will be playing? They don't know if it's final 3 or 2, although Jules said she'd figured it out which way it was earlier in the piece. She stands by that. By the jury numbers, she thought she'd figured it out. But it doesn't seem like a lot of these people have figured it out, whether it's 2 or 3. Do you think that changes the moves they should be making?
I think it should have changed. I think it should have changed the moves that people were making 2 or 3 rounds ago, right? If you're going into a potential final 2 and you're Ash and you're now the lone wolf, you are in a very dangerous spot.
Massively.
I think Ash can easily make it to final 3. Final 2, I'm less confident in. I think that keeping Mieta, if Mieta doesn't manage to win this immunity, I think Ash can very clearly put the vote on her, because I think players like KK and Evan will potentially buy that Mieta is the big threat right now. I don't know how, but I think that she's well positioned to get to a 3. Getting to a 2, however, I am worried that, well, KK will never turn on her, but on paper, Evan and KK should just toss Ash out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm less confident that Ash will make it to a final 2 than I am to a final 3. But I think these moves needed to be made 2 or 3 rounds ago to start this prepping.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is there anything that stood out in the episode? It's a bit of it. Look, we're talking a lot about the past. We're talking a lot about the future. To me, there wasn't a lot that stood out in this episode to discuss. Like, I don't think we learned anything new. I don't think we saw anything new. It potentially could have been part of a finale, but it might have been then a very long finale. So I don't hate that it's come out here. But the episode itself didn't really give me a lot of new information. We don't normally talk about the challenge. What do you think about the challenge? Was that enjoyable?
I think this episode should have been a double with the previous one. I think it should have been like Danny and Mars's elims together in one double out.
Yeah. But the last episode was so good. I love this. One of my favorite episodes.
I still think you can have the highest and have, because this was such a short episode, and the last episode was like fine, but I feel like you could have maybe gone to like an hour 05, and doubled them together and still had the plot points.
Yeah, I get it, but it would have spoiled the last episode. I like this being its own thing, as weak as it probably is as a result. I think it would have made the last episode less good. I get your point. But let's talk about the challenge. Now, what was going on in this thing? The sandpit in particular, why did they have to wait? Now, you might say, CK, you're on production. Why didn't do the challenge? Why couldn't they all just get in the sandpit together? Anyone else baffled by this?
There is a bit of a survival thing where they have those big jungle gym challenges where only one person are allowed on the course at one time. Like, I have seen that before in some of these like jungle gym ones. So that makes sense, but like, I don't love it because like you really can just team up and block someone. You can work out like Josh hasn't done this section, so we're just gonna like pretend to do it. I would have loved to have seen that though, because I want to see gameplay from some of these players. But from like a fairness POV, I don't love that mechanic.
I feel like they could have paused some of the other elements and still all been in the sandpit at once. Brady said he wanted consistency across the 4. I get it. It was just the waiting. And then if you dug someone else's up, then you had to get out and then they would just get it. Like, to be fair, they should have been more careful about digging up other people's.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have split it into 4 and said like, okay, this is your section, yours is in this quarter, and something like that.
I don't mind that.
I was sure that someone stole Mars's beanbag.
Apparently, he said online afterwards, or I think it was online or in a group chat, that it was right under his feet at the end, and he just did not find it.
That's heartbreaking. But yeah, like, I kind of agree. Like, the way, I think this could have been divided into 4 colored sections, and yours is somewhere in that section, would have had just been a better way to run it. But yeah, I don't know. I hate watching someone get stuck because like a person can't do a simple like rope bridge or something, and it's just a bit like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and that stepping thing where KK kept falling over, that was like an ankle break waiting to happen. Like that looked dangerous. And
Not happy
I
with
would
the
know.
safety on set. You would have broken your
just-
ankle. You broke your leg falling off a pole. You definitely would have broken your ankle.
No, I broke my ankle. It's still got screws in there. Remember I fell off the thing in Albania?
No, I'm talking about in your season, mate.
Oh, no, that was my knee. That was my knee.
Yeah. So you
I
hit your
would
knee
just-
falling
yeah.
off a pole. I know the
I would
Albania fall was significant. The season one I'm referring to.
Yeah, where's my thing? Wait. Oh no, I can't show
He's
it. No
saying-
one wants
he's
to
saying
see
these-
that.
Are these screws going to impact your future Survivor performance? Can you not move the way you used to?
Well, it needs to get removed. So before I get cast on Australian Survivor, I need to make sure that's done. So
But the reality is Josh doesn't move anyway, so like
Yeah.
it doesn't really change anything for him.
yeah.
What do we think-
I was just gonna say, I would hate to like be the Mars in this challenge. Not that it played out this way, but like let's say Mars was stuck behind KK on the rope thing, and then he watched Mieta finish the challenge while he physically is not allowed to participate. Like
Yeah.
that would be that's just a nightmare waiting to happen. But at the same time, like I kind of do love the challenges that you can kind of disrupt someone and stop like an immunity challenge run. So I think there's good and bad with the challenge design.
What do we think about Evan letting Ash go in and get her bag, even though he was next in the queue?
No.
I hate
Yeah, I
that. I
think
hate
Pathetic.
that so much. But it's so encapsulating of Evan's gameplay. Like it really is. And you did say, who do you see here coming back for an All-Stars? I actually could see Evan playing again because he did have a game plan and he has stuck to a game plan. And I know that there are other people that would want to play again, but you cannot tell me he has not played this game without a point of view. He has had a point of view. It's just one that I dislike, right? But and
How many votes has Evan had against him to date?
is it none? Is it none?
No, he's got
Probably.
no votes against him.
Yeah, but there's
like-
a reason for that. People forget
Christelle-
about him.
even Christelle
or
has
they're
votes
not
against
threatened
her.
by him at all.
But
Do you think
Josh,
Christelle has votes against?
out of everyone on this season, right? Evan is the one I could see playing again and making it to a similar point in the game almost as
yeah.
effortlessly. That's the thing that I dislike. And
Yeah.
oh,
But that's
and
not
it's-
because he's playing like well. It's the opposite. Like he's just coasting along so much that
what's
it's just
frustrating
beyond.
is with a few minor adjustments, he could be an iconic force in this season. And yes, he's made it to a good point, but he hasn't made it to a good point like with that fervor or with that lightning. And he's had the tools to do it. But for some people, they don't need that. They don't need that magnetism. They just fall through. And he has that ability to fall through. But it's not a winning game. And if he does win this season because of a final 2 mechanic, like just legally change your name to Stephen Bradbury because it's giving Stephen Bradbury Olympic medal.
I think Stephen Bradbury's still pretty proud of his gold medal. He worked really hard for that gold medal, old Steve
You know what
Bradbury.
he's not proud of? His Survivor game. And
Yeah, he was
that's the hill I will die on.
Yeah,
Um,
look, I was really rooting for Evan. He is just disappointed me the whole game. He has just done nothing. Like, you know, whenever he's under any slight pressure, I just need a moment, guys. Like, doesn't do anything. Like, what is the point? He's an escape room owner. Shouldn't he be like thinking strategically and all this stuff? It's just blank. Just a blank canvas. Seems like a lovely guy, but there's just nothing there that I'm seeing.
I don't disagree, but I do agree with Mark. Look, he's not a big character, but as Mark said, Evans had a plan. He's implemented that plan to perfection. And the question is now, can he close that plan out in the finale. And if he can, and if he is the winner, then well played, I suppose.
But here's the thing, CK. Like, I really, if Evan's watching this, I apologize because like what I say is not about to be kind. But like, if you win this season with this game plan, falling to the end and having like you're winning off the mechanic of there being a final two that you didn't really utilize as part of your strategy. You literally just fallen into the winning position. I'm going to say there are pre-merge boots across all LRG franchises that are better game players, despite the fact that you may potentially win. There are people that have done more, been more fluid, demonstrated more strategy, demonstrated more adaptability, and made more with the opportunities they've been given.
Even this season, like, was it Xavier, the first boot guy? He's shown more gameplay than Evan has.
Well, I take your point about the final two, but like realistically, let's say it was a final three. Do you think that Evan doesn't stand a good chance against Mieta, for example? Do you think Mieta's cleaning that up?
Oh,
I think
taking Ash out of this. Obviously, Ash would win.
If you take Ash out, right, I think against Mieta, there is a chance Evan wins because he has had this point of view. I think he could explain his game plan, and I think some people in the jury might go, wow, I see what you have been doing. It worked for you. I don't think Mieta will have the verbosity to sell her journey as well as Evan can sell, this is what I came in with, this is what I wanted, and this is what I got. So I can see Evan being a winner, and I can see him giving a competent final tribal speech. But when you look at it all from the outset as a viewer, and you've seen the different perspectives of what's been happening at every step of the way, the package that he will give live is not what we see put together.
Well, all this talk of Evan is making me think the other week when I said I was seeing like a narrative thread being pulled about KK and I do have gameplay. I know what I'm doing kind of. I would rather her win than Evan massively. She has been so much better, at least been social, seems to have at least some mindset of like knows what she's doing and like consciousness of the game. And I'm like, at this point, I feel like the other three are just going to take out Ash at this point. Then hopefully Mieta doesn't win the final three immunity. And then that like, because if she does, she's like cleaned up. I don't know. I could see KK potentially taking it. Like, I think KK is more likely to win than Evan is.
I just can't see KK winning Final Tribal Council. I struggle to see that. Whereas I can see Evan winning a Final Tribal Council. Because that's a challenge. It's a challenge that people don't realize is a challenge, right? So, but there was a confessional.
Think about the jury. Think about the jury. It's Jules, it's Danny, it's Greg, it's Mars, it's Ash in the scenario that you're posturing. Like, that's not a
play.
Yeah.
I feel like that jury might be.
There was a confessional
There
was a confessional from Evan that was pondering whether or not KK was actually deceptively playing the game very well. And that made me angry. I'm like, how can you be still pondering or contemplating whether or not KK is holding her hands to her chest? There was that three-way conversation between KK, Evan, and Mars. And KK is like literally verbalizing like, oh, you might be talking about me. This is really awkward. I don't know how to do a strat chat. Haha. And he's being like, she could be a really deep threat. The level of paranoia. There aren't words. There just aren't words.
Well, I felt he was a bit confused when she was saying to him, this is KK to Evan, that she thought it was going to be her. And he's like, what? Like, why do you think it's going to be you? It's going to be me. I don't know why Evan thinks it's going to be himself either, but they're both experiencing a significant, I think it's because the other three went off, but that doesn't mean anything, right? But they're both experiencing a high level of paranoia now that they're both sort of all the other easy targets are gone.
I actually appreciated Mars's gameplay here of trying to get KK and Evan to vote for each other to potentially be able to make a Evan Mieta Mars majority with that. I was like, that's the play that I can see happening, like if something's going to work out. But I think he identified the correct strategy to try and move himself forward.
I don't think it makes sense for anyone. Let's talk about this, because maybe for Ash, keeping Mars in is the right call. I think for the other three, he's not worth keeping. He's a challenge beast who's shown that, who's going to win at the end, right? Like, you can't, if you're Evan, you're Mieta, you're Keke, you can't beat Mars, so he has to go. But should Ash have done something interesting? Should she have played the idol on Mars and kept another shield in the game for her without talking about what happens? Would that have been, it's a big play, perhaps too big of a play, but going into Final Four, I don't think you need to worry about if your play is too big.
I think Mars and Ash have convinced themselves that one of them has to get the other out before the end, right? And I think it's been like this unspoken gentleman's agreement, and they both played this game with that in their back pocket. Maybe they needed to address that and like realize, like, I would have loved a conversation between the two of them where they're like, what happens if one of us goes for each other, and like playing that out. But they didn't have that. So I think that if Ash saves Mars right now, he might, who knows? It's so hard because like in these games, they're so quick, your loyalty. If someone does that for you, you almost feel indebted to them. So maybe Mars would have taken back that dream of beheading Ash and been like, no, it's me and you to the end, let's do this thing, right? But I don't know if the risk outweighs the reward, because he might. I don't think
Mars would do that at all. I think he would want to take out Ash even more, because if she saves him, like, if you're going to do this, if you want to get the boats loaded on Mars and then play the idol. If you save him, then
well, this is a good question for Mars when he gets out.
Yeah, but you've now taken the power away from Mars, and you're Ash, who can say at Final Tribal, not only was I the best, but Mars wouldn't even be here because if it wasn't for me, right? And that assumed that he wins out, because you think he'd be a target at some point for her anyway. And I think Mars would be the sort of player that recognizes that, well, Ash is going to say that I'm only here because of her, and she'll probably spin it into a narrative. It's not just I saved him with the idol, but like, if it wasn't for the entire, alliance we've had, he wouldn't be here. Blah blah blah. You turn a big narrative. He's my puppet. I'm the puppet master. Vote for me. Like, Mars would see that coming a mile away, and he would be trying harder to get her out. I'm not saying you do it to garner loyalty at Final Four. I don't think that matters anymore. But it's just, does Ash need a shield that she doesn't have anymore? That's the question I'm putting to you. Ash is not a challenge beast. She can't rely on a clutch win.
But this is what I mean though. Like, I think if Mars gets the necklace in round 4 and he thinks they're heading to Final 3 as the final, I think he might actually take Ash out with the necklace around him, being like, "Yep, you saved me, but that was your mistake." Because he really does want to be the villain of the show, while also being the, like, in his mind, like the ORCA as well. Like, he wants to do those things with impunity. So, well, I think this is one of those ones where, like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't if you're Ash, because like, she's leading her herd of like loyal goats with her, and she's potentially inviting a wolf into that pack.
Yeah, that's tough.
Greg does not think that Mars would have saved Ash had Ash saved him, and I agree. I'm just postulating.
Well, we can ask him like what he would have done in that moment, but. Oof.
Yes, it would have been great TV, Mars, if Mars had played his idol. If Ash had played her idol on Mars, it would have been an incredible conclusion to the great idol heist for her to play it on him at the end. Okay, we can ask this question to Mars. I don't think we have anything more for the episode, unless you guys have anything you want to specifically talk to.
Not particularly. I feel like this is more about everyone else than Mars at this point, so let's make this the Mars show.
All right, well, let's bring him in. The god of war himself, the man who won many, many challenges, won us over with his strategic gameplay, his excellent confessionals, and won our hearts as well with his devilish good looks and style and charisma. I know Josh is excited in particular. Let's bring him in. Mars, welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Mars.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Look at these boys. They're just smiling at you. They're so excited to see you. All right, let's start where we just left off.
I'm just where's the guns? Where are the guns? I thought we were getting the Mars gun show.
Still looking good.
All right,
No, where are the feet? Where's all the foot fetish?
Yeah,
No, we
no,
don't
you
want your
gotta pay
gross
for
feet
that.
fetish, Josh.
I don't. I'm
Gross feet, man.
joking. I swear.
Did you even contemplate trying to get Ash to play that idol on you at that tribal? And had she done that, would you have just cut her as soon as possible? Still.
Oh, for sure. I was pissed for not getting that idol. There was no way I would not try to get her out. I think it was pretty obvious to me that Ash was, in my opinion, had the best game, and there was no way I could get to final tribal and beat her.
So if you were safe this round, would you have then gone for her in the following round?
Or here?
Yeah, I think there was like.
If you were safe, and this one, who?
Yeah, I actually don't think I would go for Ash because she had the idol, and I was fairly certain that she would play it for herself. So, yeah, I don't know. This round, man, that sandpit killed me.
Where was your beanbag? Do you know? Was it shown to you afterwards? Was it in there at all?
So I think apparently when I got in, the beanbags were like fairly close to the surface, but I think I was digging super, super deep, and I was just covering everything else. And then so everyone else got their beanbags. And then I got back in, and it was just excruciating being able to hear everyone at the end part of the challenge, and I was still at the sandpit. So it finishes, and then I think it was JP who was on camera, and he knew where the beanbags were. And it was, I was like, where's the beanbag? And he's like, oh, it's right under my foot, which was like the worst feeling ever.
Did that impact you going into the scramble? Like, did you feel like this was like a weaker round for you mentally because of that frustration?
Yeah, for sure. I think you see it in my confessional as well. Like, I'm pretty broken at that point. I think I'd convinced myself in my head that like I probably needed to win most, if not all, of the remaining immunities to get to the end. I think, which is like definitely not the best gameplay to set yourself up like that. But that was just what the situation was, and so I definitely got in my head a little bit. Definitely could have scrambled a little bit better, but yeah.
Let's talk about the prior round, where it did seem like you were legitimately trying to make a plan with Danny, but it seemed like it was perhaps too little too late for Danny. Was that plan legitimate, and do you regret perhaps not trying to bring her into something with you a bit earlier, at least, in a Bond sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that plan that I was trying to make with Danny, that was definitely legit. I think I wanted to get Ash out that round. My main thing was like when we had Danny and Jules together, they were so tight that I don't think I could have used them as a number. So my plan was to get one of them out and then use the other one. But then, yeah, I think I could have been a lot more direct with her, saying, this is who I want to get out. I want to get out Ash.
So question then. You were big on changing the vote at tribal council to be like, I did this, I control everyone. It's going to be Jules, it's going to be Danny, but now I'm making it Jules. Do you think you might have had more success working with Jules in the follow-up round rather than Danny?
No, definitely not. Like the reason why I got everyone to change the vote to Jules was because I could see that Ash was a lot closer to Jules than Danny. And so I wanted Jules out because I thought I could have a bit more flexibility with Danny over Jules.
All right, let's talk about what poor, your love of the season, your absolute bromance, the Lentil King, poor Greg did to get burned by you and your crew after he saved your asses with the extra vote. You roll into merge. He's like, the band's back together. It's the four of us to the end. And the three of you are like, nah, Greg, you're done. What did Greg do to besmirch you and your crew? Particularly you, for which he had such a close bromance.
Loved Greg. I think it was mainly because we'd spent so much time apart in swap that I didn't know what they were doing. They could have formed new alliances. He could have been a lot more closer with the other Tortuga members, which you kind of see Greg chatting to Mieta. And I could see that there was a lot of heat on him from Danny and Jules in there, that I thought that if I aligned myself with him pretty closely, if Danny and Jules' target was Greg, but he was immune or something, then I could be collateral for that. And so I shifted my targets from Greg to Mieta, because I thought she had challenge ability, which I could use as, I think, a better shield for me. And I could also see that, like, I think priorities for her was to get as far into the game as possible. She was, as you can see, very scared every time going to Tribal Council, even if she has the necklace. So that's why I made a deal with her that, like, okay, we can get to the end if we stick together. I promise. I promised her that, and I was actually going to stick to that, because I definitely thought that I could outpitch her at the end. And I think her priorities was less about winning the game, from my perspective, winning the game, and more getting to the end. And I thought my pitch was, oh yeah, we could win immunities, one each, and then just help protect each other to the end.
I think that's a good read on.
I was going to say, having watched the season now, and seen it played out, and taking Greg's interview words to heart, do you feel like you should have kept Greg longer, or are you still happy with the way you played it?
That's really tough, because like it's still like fairly early in the season. You don't really know exactly what happens there. Greg's a big target, and I feel like, again, I think my target would be bigger if I aligned myself with him that closely.
Okay.
So, I mean, if I knew he was going to be super loyal to me, then yes. But I think he definitely showed a lot more strategic gameplay than other people, and I was afraid that he would make other connections. And you can kind of see in the season that he's talking to me about me talking to Evan and how I'm thinking about taking Evan to the end or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're considering cutting me at some point. So no, I don't think I regret it.
Fair. Mark, is something you want to say, I think?
No, I was going to say, I thought that was a really good read on the cast in terms of like what was Mieta's goal and how can you align with her, because even up until her last minute flip on you, because I think she saw you as a sinking ship, she was very much being like, yep, Mars will take me to the end, I'll go to the end with him. Like, I think that was an accurate read, whereas other people definitely have more like, self-interested goals. I want to keep it fun. So you gave everyone a genre of film in one of your episodes. What genre do you think you are? Because I think I've got a pretty good read on what you might be.
I think the obvious answer is an action film, but I think like a buddy comedy or something like that.
Oh, okay. I was going for more of a bit of like a mockumentary where it's like we've got the best survivor player, the God of War, who's dominating, going to win everything, but like one by one he's voting out all of his shields to the end, and I just thought it was a fun little narrative.
You know what? I actually like that better. We'll go with that.
I was going to say buddy comedy, but Mars is the buddy who's actually like very competent as well, but is also side-eyeing the camera and like cracking the jokes. I don't think he's like the prime star. He's the buddy in the buddy comedy. That's what I think.
I'd love to see a buddy comedy where you play both buddies, like very like Eddie Murphy, like late 90s, early 2000s.
I can see that. Let's do it. Tell us about your relationship with Ash. Very close from the start. Lock in with that spend the whole game together, but always, wondering, joking about how you're going to vote each other out. Did you always worry that the joke on each occasion, was not a joke? That maybe this is the time? How was that relationship?
Yeah, so we only see it once, but I think it was like at least 3 tribals before we would walk in. We would whisper to each other, "I voted you," as a joke. But like we both knew that we were going to go for each other, because I think, at least from my opinion, Ash played a better game than me, and I would never take it to the end because I don't think I could have won. But I think we knew at the start that we were the most openly strategic people, I think, and so we kind of bonded over that. And then throughout the game, it kind of became our threat levels rose, and it was more we had to keep using each other as shields. I knew at some point she would come for me, and so that's why I was trying to make moves at Final 6. Obviously didn't work out as I wanted. But yeah, I always knew that we had to go for each other at some point. Yeah.
For all the shit we've given you about like making like maybe like thinking that you were playing a more strategic game than you were, because like there was an episode, I don't know if you saw it, but like we were kind of debating, you are a strong player and you do have a strong strategic mind, but you are making moves that are safer and kind of rolling with the numbers. And it's not that they didn't make sense. And it's not that we're reading you for like not always being the most entertaining, but there was a lack of foresight in some of those things, just from our point of view. So I think my question here is like, where do you think you made the biggest mistake in your game? And what would you have done differently to like correct, to make that final push?
See, again, like with Danny's vote out, I definitely would have loved to do something then and been more direct and kind of rallied the numbers a bit more. But I think overall, and just from watching the season back, one thing that I've picked up a lot is just how good of a social game player Ash is. And I would have loved to put in a lot more of that, just overall in general, in the whole game. Because I think in my head, I went in and I was like, okay, I'm here to play a game. I'm going to control the votes. People are going to do what I tell them to, and that's obviously not how you play Survivor. But I came in pretty cocky. I came in there to just like make entertaining confessionals. And so I think the biggest thing that I would have changed is just to like put in more of like social effort with everyone, and just having that, especially in a cast where there is gameplay, but also a lot of this gameplay is hinged on these social relationships, and just like chatting about whatever, chatting about your favorite food. But yeah, I think putting in that effort.
Josh is shaking his head hard, but I agree, Mars. As someone who is very intense, you need those human connections to get anywhere. Like, I think the Boondogs, I don't know if you watched my season or not, but I would have been murdered if I didn't connect a little bit. And yeah,
Josh's whole game centered around his relationships with his other 3 Iraq 4. Like they were like close as anything. And there was a social love there as well as a strategic.
I was shaking my head because it annoyed me that people had to stoop to the level of, oh, what's your favorite food? Oh, focaccias or whatever it was. Like, boring. Get with the gameplay. And that leads into my question. Mars, do you think you would have fared better on a season with more dynamic people? No offense, CK, for your casting, but there were a few people that didn't have much gameplay, were just there to make friends and have a good time. Do you think if you went in with, a cast who were more Survivor savvy and that kind of stuff, you would have done better or worse?
I think because going into this, I was relatively new to all this stuff. Like, I think I'd played a Melbourne trial before, but overall, I think I was relatively new, and I feel like I would do worse, because I think this one, it's kind of just I adapted to how everyone was playing, and so I think I worse in a sense of I think I may have gotten out earlier. I think I may have made more interesting moves if it was I'd say, more strategic cast, but it was more going into the game. I kind of just wanted to be adaptable and just absorb the vibe of the whole season. And the vibe of the whole season, from my perspective, was there were a lot of players who were very loyal and wanted to stick in big alliances and big groups. And I didn't want to make myself stand out more by doing crazy things. And so kind of absorbed that. And yes, I did make a lot of conservative moves. And I think if things had shaken up a bit more pre-merge, I think it would have switched me into gear, and I think I would have had a bit more explosive post-merge. But the thing is, I don't even know if I would get to post-merge.
Yeah.
What phase of the game did you find the most fun? Like, where did you, when you think back to it, like what part you're like, yeah, that was a good time? Starting tribe, swap, post-merge, etc.
I would say
any hijinks
merge.
in the middle of the night Josh might want to know about if you
No hijinks, except for the absolute crazy weather that we had. Like the tarp just like flew up in the middle of the night, and then I think KK went around and like fixed it, but I was like holding the tarp on the inside, and somehow I fell asleep holding it because I just woke up the next morning. It was crazy. It was
I was
definitely
in a swag, and I was like, "Nah, fuck that. I'm gonna sleep in my car." The weather was not great.
It was and I don't know how Melbourne Survivor compares to other LRGs, but this felt super brutal in terms of the weather and the physicality of the challenges. I was broken by the end of the weekend. Like I got chicken pox like a few days afterwards. I thought I was super tired, but no, I was like,
first time or
yeah, first time I got chicken pox.
Did you book the Monday off work to have a day to process, or were you just straight back to real life?
Yeah, I think I was off work at that point, which was lucky.
All right, I just have to say, like when there was that chat between like Evan and KK about like, oh no, I'm going to work tomorrow, I was like, I am mad. Like anyone who is this invested in the game, you need a day to like consider whether or not your life is still worth living. And the way that these people are like, I can just go straight back into the real world. I was like, no, you're not my people. You are not my people.
Yeah, look, you're making a funny joke, but Evan's a business owner. You can't just abandon your fucking business because no one else is going to do your job for you. And, and there's nothing worse than when your kids' carers don't show up to work and there's no one to look after them, and you're supposed to be going to work. So I respect both of their needs to work, but I do take your point, Mark. I do. I think it's a fair point.
I just think like there's so much that goes into this. Like it deserves the gravitas and respect that people like Mars has brought to this game. Like you came in with like gusto and energy, and like we saw that all the way through, and like seeing you get so crushed at the end of this episode was really hard to watch. But yeah, like more of that.
Well, you were also very crushed when the idol heist was pulled off. How did it feel rewatching that? The edit did not make it clear how long Mars was searching for the idol with an awareness that he had to take something off something. He knew that. He was lifting up everything he could find in camp while wearing his head off. While wearing the necklace, and then hung it up just as Ash was returning, basically, maybe a minute or two before. How much has that haunted you, that whole moment?
I kind of managed to stop thinking about it about a year ago, and then it's come back now, and oh my god, like I was like, oh yeah, this is like what people do on the show. They hang up the necklace. So like, yeah, that's part of the experience. I'll do that. And then I was searching. I was like, oh, I'd love to find an idol or something. And I think it was just, maybe it was like Evan read out the clue wrong, and then I didn't actually read the clue. I just heard what he said. And so I was like lifting things up. I was like digging holes all around camp. And CK, you've sent that clip in the group chat like 500 times.
I don't understand that.
Me discovering there's no idol.
Bullying.
I just thought it was a classic moment.
It's great TV. I think throughout the whole season, I'm always like, when I'm playing, it's like part of it is I want to play a good game. Winning is not necessarily my end goal. Until it got to closer to the end, I was like, oh damn, I could potentially win this. But it was mainly have fun, get the full Survivor experience, and also make some good content. So like throughout everything, even like losing that idol, in the back of my mind, I was like, this is good. This will give me screen time.
Yeah.
And like even my confessional where I'm like in tears, in the back of my mind, I'm like, yep, this will make the edit.
This is making the edit. Also the flex.
Yeah.
Flex that's gonna make the edit.
Yeah.
You're very hesitant to it. You're a good sport at. Does anyone have any final questions for Mars?
Me.
Josh.
I don't know if it was discussed when I couldn't hear anything before, but what are your comments on Greg giving you the extra vote? I feel like that deserves a lot of credit. Like you literally would have been dead without that. So give the king his credit. I think
Yeah.
that was an iconic move. I actually like screamed watching that.
Yeah, no, praise to Greg. Thank you so much for the extra vote. I'm sorry that I voted you out. I don't regret voting you out though. In the grand scheme of things and watching it back, I think it was the best strategic move for myself. But I do agree that is an iconic moment and definitely shifted the game, because otherwise I think I may have been a pre-merger.
Robbed. And sorry, last mini question. So you came into the game very like confident, swagger. You were kind of, the main sort of strategist with Jules, who's like a cop, Danny, who's played before, Ash has played before. Like, what was your experience coming into the game? Had you watched LRGs? Had you watched Survivor? I know you mentioned you played a trial, but yeah, like you did come in very confident and switched on. Like, where did that come from?
So I think, what advice? I don't think I'd actually watched any LRGs. I think it was just, I had played that Melbourne trial and I came second in that. And I was like, oh, okay, I could probably do this again. But yeah, I think the difference between a 1 day trial and a 2.5, 3 day thing, physically and mentally, is just like exhausting. That's the thing that threw me most, was like, especially like water challenges and super physical challenges. That just like, I didn't factor that in enough, and I think that really affects the way that I think. I think, one, I have really bad multitasking skills. I can only think of like one thing at a time. So Survivor is not necessarily the game for me, but like there's so many things happening and it's really hard for me to just like focus in and lock in on what I want to do. Secondly, I have a really bad resting annoyed face. So people always think that I'm either annoyed or scheming when I'm just like trying to think about something. So yeah, it was just like a lot of stuff happening, and I think just trying to absorb it. And I think that's why this type of season was pretty good, because it was fairly alliance based, very loyalty based, and because of that, I think I did better because I could weave my way through. Otherwise, I think I would have been caught up super quickly in pre-merge stuff.
Now, Mars said that he did not watch many LRGs before he went on to Uncharted Waters. But we'll have to find out now if he's watched LRGs since, because in a surprise reveal, Mars, every contestant on Uncharted Waters offered the chance to take me on TWIOLSH, and the only people that took it up were Jules and Mars. So well done, Mars, for taking on the challenge. I'm going to bring up the different banner. I'm going to remove, as I understand Danny's not available, she sent both of you the questions. Have either of you read them?
No. But I have one last question for women as well, if that's okay.
Okay.
Oh, yes, she did.
I just wanted to quickly ask. So a few people have had issue with some of the comments that the Orcas have made this season. Do you have any dirty laundry you want to air? Any pot shots you want to take? Is there any Yeah, any
You guys
Catch Me
suck.
Outside.
No. I think overall, really interesting coverage over the whole season. I love just like hearing about everyone else's perspective on the season. I think it's important to give credit to every single player there. Like it's not easy playing an LRG, and especially one that's as physical as this. It really takes it out of you. And I think definitely it's hard to show in just like half an hour episode, but everyone is there playing. Some people are playing more bombastically. Some people are making intense confessionals, but everyone is playing out there, and I think that's something to remember just as a general audience. But yeah, that's basically it.
Everyone was playing, and now everyone is going to be playing TWIOLSH. Josh, you're going to be the phone a friend. Mark, you will be asking the questions this evening.
Yeah.
I believe there is only 4 questions. I think Jules said something about that. Do you have the information, Mark?
Yep, I've got them here.
What are the seasons that we're picking from?
All right, I've got Warrandyte, Playing with Fire, the Melbourne Mystery Box, and Backyard 4, and Backyard 5, and Canberra versus the World.
Oh, there are 6 questions. Okay. What do you want?
Okay.
Mars, you get the first pick.
All right, so I've been thinking about this, and I think I've got to be strategic, and I think you would know the most about your season, so I'm going to take Playing with Fire.
Playing with Fire, episode 1. Okay. Mars.
Episode 1?
The reward challenge saw players run around gathering wood for the fire. Who fell over almost immediately after the challenge?
I think
began?
you're reading the wrong questions. I don't know what you're reading.
I'm reading episode 1, Playing with Fire. It's the question that I've got.
Is there an episode like 11 questions on that?
11.
Scroll down.
Episode 11? Oh, I do have episode 11. My bad.
Okay, are there
So we
4
did watch the
questions
right
or 6
episode.
questions? Yeah.
All right, sorry. Playing with Fire. Reading it again. Episode 11.
Are there 4 or 6, Mark?
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll read. It's Warrandyte, Playing with Fire, Melbourne Mystery Box, and Backyard 4.
There we go. Great. So,
All right.
you're going with Playing with Fire. Let's go.
My apologies. At Final Tribal Council, which juror opened by saying, "I don't feel much like congratulating guys you on getting to the final 3." That is grammatically incorrect, but I'm reading it as written.
I think it was Tash.
That is correct. CK.
I will take Warrandyte.
Warrandyte. At Final Tribal Council, how many votes did we not see before Liz read them?
I think. Hang on, like before she revealed the winner, or what are we saying? Did not see. What is this question?
I will read the question as it is written. At Final Tribal Council, how many votes did we not see before Liz read them? Question mark.
What the fuck is this question? Because this is a really poorly written question, Jules. I'm sorry. Like, what does it mean that the winner is blah? I don't read out these other votes because
I'll pretend like I'm in an exam right now and you're a student.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, darling. You're just gonna have to try and do your best.
I'm sorry, darling. The teacher should have written a better question. I'm just gonna go with 0.
Bow, that is wrong.
Now
Now I get to invite Mars to steal, I believe.
Yes.
2.
That is incorrect.
What was the answer?
What happens now? Do we this is it? Do I reveal the answer?
Yeah, reveal the answer.
The answer was 3. We did not see 3 votes.
I
agree.
I still don't understand the question.
I don't understand the question, Jules. Poor form. All right, Mars, are you going back at 4, which you'll have the phone a friend, or the Melbourne Mystery Box?
I will go Backyard 4.
All right, Backyard 4. At the final 6 Tribal Council, Who is the only person not wearing a backwards cap?
I haven't seen this season, so Josh, you're gonna have to help me.
Oh my God, I'm trying to count. So I remember this vividly because they were like, the lighting was bad. We couldn't have it facing. I remember definitely Rachel, myself, Val, Kiara, all had them. So it goes to, it's either Joe or Sal. Sal had a bucket hat he was wearing on the season. And Joe had a normal, like a cap. So I feel like it might be Sal because his was a bucket hat and everyone else had caps backwards. Sal, I think.
I like that. We'll go Sal.
That is your final answer?
Yeah.
I'm glad to say that that answer is incorrect.
No.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
Josh.
CK,
There,
opportunity to steal.
I thought Sal also had like a Legionnaires cap. Like maybe he had a Legionnaires cap that you could take the back off. See, I would have also gone with Sal because I thought he also had a Legionnaires cap. I just don't think Joe's the sort of lady that would wear a backwards cap in any scenario. Go with Joe.
It's giving a little bit too douchey vibes for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yes.
All right, so the score
Okay.
cap is currently 1. Do you get an extra point for a steal, or is it 1-1?
It's Mars is on 2 and I am on 1, and I'm now doing the Melbourne mystery box for the win.
I am a terrible host if you can't tell. I don't know numbers. Melbourne mystery box for the win.
Yeah.
I am pleased to announce that the Melbourne mystery box is from Warrandyte. Question: who has the opening confessional of the finale episode?
Okay, 1 in 5. I don't think I should list them all, but I have to get it right to win. There's no point in doing the multiple choice. If I get it wrong, then Mars just wins anyway. So I guess I could list them all because it doesn't really matter. Final 5, we're looking at Jake, we're looking at Nick, we're looking at Emily, CM, and Rancy. I feel my gut says Rancy.
That answer is correct.
Yes. Well played, Mars.
Good
CK
game.
wins.
And the only person I lost to all year was Jules, which we proud to announce that I will be asking her the questions in our upcoming coverage of Canberra Survivor. But thank you for Mars for coming on and doing a great interview, being a great sport in TWIOLSH, and being a great part of this amazing season. You're an absolute legend on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Another win, Mark. Just closing it out with the W.
Put it on the board. Put it on the board.
To be honest, like in the last year, when we did TWIOLSH, I used to do a lot of research for the episodes and check them all. I don't do that anymore. I didn't do that at all this year. I just won. It's so much better winning without doing the work. It's like being at school again.
I nearly beat you. I was one 50-50 off. And that was with no research as well.
I beat him live in person. There's just no evidence of it, only testimony.
I told you. Kyle was there. And what's his name? Sam. All right. So we need to do 2 important things. We need to determine what is going to happen in the finale and who was the orca of the episode. Josh, what do you think is going to happen in the finale?
I'm scared. I think it's going to be Ash gets taken out next. Mieta wins immunity the next 2 times. And then the final 2 is going to be probably Mieta and Evan. I think KK will be seen as too much of a social threat to the jury. And it might be Mieta and Evan at the end. But if I could have my wish of who I hope it is, I hope that it's Ash and KK.
Mark, what do you think?
I don't want to make predictions on challenges because variation, I see KK not turning on Ash like to a fault. I cannot see KK writing Ash's name down. But I'm actually predicting a surprise Evan win. I'm seeing Mieta and Ash potentially get taken out, and if Evan is alone with KK, I see Evan winning in that configuration. But if Ash makes it, which we are praying, this is Ash's game.
All right, and the final decision. We'll do one more of these, but who wins the Brommy for Orca of the episode? Noting that we've determined only like 2 weeks ago that to be eligible to win the Orca of the season, you must be a Brommy during the season to be eligible for vote for the Congress. To date, the current people are eligible: Hannah, Nat, Greg,
Danny.
Jules, and Danny, and Ash. So you might make a decision to include someone that you think should be eligible, or was there any particular Orca behavior? The only Orca behavior I saw was from Ash in forcing Evan to let her go first for some reason in the sandpit. That's all I've got for Orca behavior. What about you guys?
I have a different answer. I'm voting Danny because she looked cunty on the jury.
Wow.
Final answer.
Josh?
You can't say that. It has to be a current player in the game, doesn't it?
With that, I don't see that in the rules. I think that if you're serving, you serve.
What do you think, Josh? Who do you want to nominate for the app?
Well, I feel like Mars should be in the running, but Ash was more Orca this episode. But yeah, Mars is like a robbed king icon. Like he goes down as like, yeah, oh my God, a 5th place Rob Goddess with me.
But that doesn't mean you're an Orca. Some people win it authentically. Other people campaign, like yourself.
Should Mark be in the voting? Sorry, not Mark. Mark was obviously in the voting. There was no voting for Mark. We just gave it to him because there was no point in having a vote. Should Mars be in the running?
I think so.
Did he do anything? What's the most awkward thing he did? The flex? Sort of? I don't think he's an Orca. I think he's a great. I think he's too much of a hero. I think
we throw around the term Orca too widely and too broadly. Mars is a lot of things, but I don't think he possesses the narcissism of an Orca.
Yeah, I'm giving it to Ash. I'm giving it to her for strong arming Evan out of his rightful spot in the sandpit. Just outrageous behavior from Ash. Just strong arming Evan for no reason. Love to see it.
I'm double gunning on.
Okay.
I'm happy to award it from the jury, but maybe we can consider that in the finale episode. Because
I guess it has to be.
If you thought Danny was being cunty on the jury in this episode, just wait till she's got questions to ask. All right, so that's the second to last episode of our coverage. Look forward for more coverage. We've got 2 new seasons popping out shortly, and we'll have coverage every week in the lead up to that. So thank you very much for everyone that stayed with us live. Thank you to everyone who listens after the fact. Thank you, Mark and Josh, and thank you, Mars, for being our guest and also being a great contestant on TWIOLSH. The finale is on Sunday. There are a number of live parties. If you're in Melbourne, get along to that, or otherwise watch it on the web. Until then, we shall dance.